This is the first in a 5-part series discussing Antichrist in Islam. This first part is a rebuttal to a video that was posted as a rebuttal to a YouTube titled Satan's Antichrist 666 Islam, in which Sean, or Venom Fang X, discussed Islam and Antichrist. In the video that was used for rebuttal, Islamic leader Ahmad Deedat combines pieces of 2 separate verses from God's holy word to fabricate his own version of 1 John 4:2 that he then goes on to suggest as a test for Antichrist. The subject verses are, "Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Hereby know ye the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit that confesseth not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God, and this is that spirit of Antichrist." Mr. Deedat splices in a piece of 1 John 2:22. It reads, "Who is a liar but he that denieth that Jesus is the Christ? He is Antichrist that denieth the Father and the Son." In the YouTube, Mr. Deedat is asked, "Can you vouch for the fact that Muhammad was not Antichrist?"
Question addressed to Mr. Deedat, and it reads, "Through your knowledge of the Muslim faith, can you vouch for the fact that Muhammad was not Antichrist?"
Now, Mr. Deedat goes on to misunderstand the question slightly, thinking he was asked if Muhammad was the Antichrist, but to his credit, he goes on to answer to the broader subject of Antichrist, claiming, in part of his explanation, that he uses God's holy word.
And the Christian Bible testifies to this, that our Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is a true messenger of God. That test it gives. In the first epistle of John, chapter 4, it says, "Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world." It continues, "The spirit that confesseth that Jesus is the Christ is of God." A true spirit is a true prophet, and a false spirit is a false prophet. The prophet that says that Jesus is the Christ is of God, says his holy book.
But of course, we learned that's not what his holy book says. That verse that he just recited cannot be found in God's holy word. Since Mr. Deedat quoted 1 John 4:1 straight out of the King James Version of the Holy Bible so well, it's difficult to imagine that he could misquote the very next verse so appallingly incorrectly by accident. He misquotes 1 John 4:2, which reads in part, "Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God." Mr. Deedat exchanged a part of 1 John 2:22 that Jesus is the Christ. Mr. Deedat's hybrid creation then became "the spirit that confesseth that Jesus is the Christ is of God." Mr. Deedat then goes on to suggest that the verse he fabricated is a test for Antichrist, but is in fact a false test, built on a false version of God's holy word. In his effort to advance an illusion that Islam is not Antichrist, Mr. Deedat's combining and confusing snippets of these 2 separate verses resulted in obscuring the sad truth that Islam is indeed Antichrist. In successive parts of the series, we'll continue to explore the spirit of Antichrist in Islam. Please visit IsraelinBibleProphecy.com for the text version of this, where there's links that you can click on to go to read these verses in their context in the Bible, and other resources for study, and YouTubes. Please also visit BeholdTheBeast.com for an in-depth discussion of Islam and Israel in Bible prophecy